as in I don't actually believe that perception is truth with a capital T, but I believe it's our perceived truth, and that perceived truth has mind body consequences inside of us all the time. And so part of this is foregrounding and background. Like, what is it in my attentional space that's in the foreground and what is in my attentional space that's in the background? I realized in the nature of the conversation, the fear was holding me back from doing anything because I didn't know what to do. But I did something, and what I remembered or what I saw, and I was like, oh my gosh, of course, is that everybody has these universal longings. We want to live a decent, good life. We want safety and security. We want kids to grow up and get educated and have like a decent opportunity at life. And all that came to the foreground in the context of this very difficult, courageous environment that you created. And then it's like, oh, well, if that's in the foreground, then we can do stuff together. It's not to say we don't have differences, but it's like, oh, if it's in the foreground, what is in common between us? If that's what I keep perceiving and I have to work to keep pushing that into the foreground, then there's bridges here. We got this. We're more similar than we're different. But if our differences are really in the foreground and I'm backgrounding all of our commonality, all I can see is how different we are. And if we're really that different, I don't know if we can work together. I don't know if you can be my financial advisor. I don't know if we can have conversations across these really deep historical, political, and religious divides. So that perceptual foregrounding and backgrounding is also part of the choice. I just want to turn this into a quick understanding it as a tool, because sometimes it helps with a client to actually make this a little more concrete. I'm using Dan Siegel here. Some of you probably know this, but he calls it the wheel of awareness. So the hub, it's not attention, it's the sense of awareness, right? Which is, I know that sounds maybe a little vague, but this is, of course, what makes us human: subjective awareness, consciousness, right? And then if you look carefully, there's a spoke right here. And that spoke is pointing to the outer rim or tire. And that spoke is attention. So attention, where we point, what we pay attention to, emerges from that sense of subjective, that sense of consciousness. But we actually have a choice about where on the wheel of awareness we're looking at. And when it comes to anxiety or our differences or whatever, like we may be here, and this may be like really highlighting what is different about us. But it doesn't mean I can't move the attentional arrow over here and be like, tell me about your kids. Tell me about your biggest life goal. Oh, I've always wanted to be a pilot. Really? You've never shared that with me. Really? Why do you want to be a pilot? The sensation of flying just blows my mind. Whatever it is, I just moved the attentional arrow to a different question. And all of a sudden, I'm like, geez, I kind of wanted to be a pilot when I was a kid too. Have you looked into this? What did it take to become? I mean, all of a sudden, we're in a completely different world. Where before all I could see was how we disagreed. And all of a sudden, we're in this like, wait, you too? And that experience is the power of attentional choice, right? Because on that rim is what's possible to pay attention to. Hundreds of possibilities in any given moment. And that's where choice lies. And sometimes I'll draw this out with a client so they get this sense that like, I have a choice about what I pay attention to. I don't just have to ruminate about that conversation I had. I could actually possibly pay attention to something else or reframe it in a way that changes this kind of stuckness that I'm on about it. This over and over and over again opens up this kind of sense that like, oh, attention is a choice. My experience is what I agree to attend to. So again, that backgrounding and foregrounding, that inner mind, my mind has the ability to choose what I'm paying attention to. And not only does this have implications for all these kind of macro level, global geopolitical conversations we're having a little bit right now, it also has implications for whether or not I'm constantly or chronically feeling anxious. And it doesn't mean anxiety is easy to just turn off. That is not what I'm saying. It just means that where we pay attention is actually a choice, and we forget that. Thanks so much for checking us out. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below for more free brain hacks. And don't forget to check out our course, The Brain Science Advantage, in the link below. Until next time.